Yo, send her 20,000 just because. Now this video ain't for everybody, man. Obviously, it's for a certain tax bracket of men. All right, the tax bracket of men that can go out there and go blow $20,000 to $40,000 in the strip club or the club. You know, get it to your girl. Give it to your girl. Let her start a business. Let her go get that Chanel purse, whatever the fuck she want. Go, just let her go do it, just because you can. You hear me? So it's a whole different tax bracket that I'm speaking of. When I speak about certain things, it's for a whole different tax bracket. If you're mad, you're not one of them. You know, if you're upset, if you're saying it's sipping and tricking, you're just not in the tax bracket that we're speaking of. We'll go blow, $80,000 on a Rolex. We'll go do shit like that because we can. I'm just saying, go send 20,000 to her. Send it to her. Send it to her. This ain't got nothing to do with you. Don't be in the comments being mad. We're not talking about people who can barely afford chicken nuggets. This is not for you, okay? So don't get upset, all right? Please don't. Send it 20,000 just because. Poppy said it right now.
What's your age?
I'm 34 years old.
Have you ever proposed to a woman before?
Yes, I did.
And how did that turn out for you?
Newly divorced.
But how long was your marriage?
8 years.
What do you think caused your 8-year marriage to deteriorate?
You know, it's one of those crazy things, man. People can wake up and say, I don't want to do this. No matter what's built, no matter what legacies are in place, it's one of those situations where you can't control people, right? I can't control you. I can't make you do something you don't want to do, so, you know what I mean?
But did you provide in your relationship?
First month, quit your job. I'm here, I'm taking care of this, so I ain't had to see a bill in 8 years,
So even though you provided 100%,
right,
the marriage still failed.
Yeah, man. Married people want to be single. Single people want to be married. Rich people want to be poor. Poor people want to be, rich. Rappers want to be athletes. Athletes want to be rap. It's the other side look appealing. You know what I'm saying? And to people who married for a long time, you start hanging out with your single friends, you might miss that lifestyle. A lot of women don't want to be kept put up for real.
So was it you or your wife that filed for divorce?
On her side.
But as a man, how do you handle the mental shift of building a life for 8 years with someone to now just being back on your own?
It wasn't an easy process. Was in the house for the first 4 months trying to figure out what the hell. You know what I mean? Like one of those situations like, yo, is anything not repairable these days? If this is not this and that, let's work it out. Let's fix it. At the end of the day, man, that ain't what individuals wanted to do, man. So, I got no choice but to accept it and move on with my life.
All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving our praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today, I just want to simply title this lesson, this got to stop, man. And what I mean is, this simp shit, because you have this dude, his Instagram handle, Poppy Chulo Dreaded, whatever the fuck his name is. But, he's the type of guy and that panders to women, a type of guy, he's well off in the society. He's doing well for himself, which again is nothing wrong with, for a man to do to be well established, but he uses his resources to, spend on women. Now, let's not be ignorant. There's nothing wrong with, if you have a woman, to spend your money on her, to do things for her, that you want to do. But he's taking the stance that, okay, well, I have this woman, I'm going to pay all their bills. She don't have to work no more. Then I'm going to just, send her this amount of money just because I can do it. Well, no. Because me personally, I'm not sending any woman $20,000 that didn't do anything to earn it. And it's not even, necessarily have to be sexual, but what did she do for me to earn $20,000? I'm not sending any woman that amount of money, unless it's for a specific reason. Hey, I need you to go and, do this with it, put it in a bank, do something. I'm not about to just send a woman $20,000 and expect her to, either multiply that money, save it, or spend it on something that she actually needs, But he says, oh, well, it's not simping. It is simping, bro. Well, I didn't say I was doing this for other women or for all women. I just said your woman. Like, he tries to justify however he wants to, but excuse me, Slakia, this is the reason why, a lot of these women, have that mentality that they have now, that a man must be, a provider, which a lot of them don't even know what a provider is. You just think that, the only thing a man is supposed to do is spend his money on you. No, it's way more than that, And then a lot of these women don't have anything to bring to the table them damn selves, right? A man has to do everything. Meanwhile, you women have to do nothing, and the woman isn't even the main focus of this topic. It's about, simping. But I will say I have a lesson cooking up, that I am going to do on, the woman, the black woman in particular, man, because it's just as of lately, I've been seeing, these videos on the internet and just dealing with women in my day-to-day, man. And I'm getting real fed up with you women. You women of this world. I'll say, obviously, I'm not talking about the sisters, and I'm not talking about y'all, but these wicked women out here, man, like y'all. I'm sick of you. I'm sick of y'all, man. But I'm just gonna bring out a couple scriptures, Lord willing. This lesson is edifying and straight to the point, man. And a lot of guys just, even certain niggas in the world to even say that, man. Like, don't lead with your money, because if you do that, then 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what she's gonna use you for, your money. Now, if you're the type of guy that wants to be used for your money, then that's on you, But I myself know, if I'm gonna deal with a woman, she has to be useful, which a lot of women nowadays, they're useless. They don't know how to do anything, besides take money from a man and do other madness, man. I'm gonna try to keep it somewhat clean, man, because again, it ain't about the woman. But I'm gonna start with Proverbs chapter 31, verse 3, which I just read this the other day as well. Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 3, and it says, "Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings." All right. This is Bathsheba talking to King Solomon, man. This is, her speaking to her son, This is her. Come on, man. Even though, King David and Bathsheba, committed adultery, still, man, she still put Solomon on game. She did. Don't give your strength to women. Don't give all your resources, to please these women. And King Solomon is, by far the greatest example of a man that had numerous women. It's like it says in the scriptures, he had 700 wives and 300 concubines. Man, he had 1,000 women. So obviously that wasn't an issue, which when you read through Ecclesiastes, the book of Ecclesiastes, he just going on about, man, like, these things are vain, all is vanity, and which it is, man. It's nothing wrong with dealing with a woman or having multiple women, but when you go out of your way to please these women, and that's the only thing you want to do. Oh, I have to make sure she is happy. She, has to have this and this. I'm going to provide this, a lifestyle that she can't even afford her damn self. I'm going to provide that for her, Meanwhile, she doesn't even respect you. She really hates you, and she's just plotting her escape, She's going to save up her little money and then leave you and find another man, and which that's the same guy saying all that, send her 20,000 just because, but meanwhile, your wife divorced you. He didn't even say the exact reason why. Well, I don't understand how, someone can wake up one day and just not love you anymore. Well, that's women. You can't satisfy women. If anything, that's impossible to do. For a man to do is to make a woman happy, man. It doesn't matter what you do. Women are never happy. But again, he wants to do that. He wants to pander to these women. I'm going to, do this and this. And let me just get that definition real quick, man, because Like, come on, man. Come on, man. So this is I put in pandering, but it could be the definition for pander. Simple Google definition, and it says gratify or indulge in immoral or distasteful desire, need, or habit, or a person with such a desire. Right? Then it went down to what does pandering someone mean? It says to provide whatever they want or demand, even if it's unreasonable, improper, or bad, often to gain an advantage or personal benefit. And this is what you're doing. You're giving these women what they want when they ask for, oh, well, send her 20,000 just because. Send her this amount of money just because. Because of what? Just because you can. Get the fuck out of here, bro. This is why a lot of these women sit here and just call regular working class men broke. Oh, well, you can't do this. You can't, do this and this. Well, every man isn't going to be rich. Every man isn't made to make a certain amount of money. There has to be a balance, and it doesn't really matter what he does. But again, he's just another materialistic nigga that just wants to please the woman, not understanding that, the time we're coming into, these women aren't gonna worry about who has the most money, who's the most handsome man, and all that shit ain't gonna matter. The only thing these women are gonna want in the time to come is a man that's gonna protect them. So all you simp niggas out there, you can spend all your goddamn money on these whores to try to make them happy, to provide them with a lifestyle a lot of them cannot afford themselves, and all of that. But this is not what the men of the Lord do. Again, if you have a wife, there's nothing wrong with spoiling her, if you choose to do so. There's nothing wrong with buying your wife, nice things. But again, just to sit here and go out of your way. Oh, well, she has to have this. Oh, well, she wants this. I'm going to make sure she has this and this. Man, listen. We men at the end of the day, man, get told all the time, don't, man, it's just madness. This is simp shit, man. Grow a pair, bro. They want to sit here and get mad and try to fucking... Come on, bro. Like, this shit is madness. So, I'm going to get the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and verse 26. And it says, and I find more bitter than death the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth Yahweh shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. And right, man, I'm just going to quote it. It also says, in the scriptures that, a wicked man is given unto the portion of a wicked woman. Or I may have quoted it wrong. You know what? Let me just grab it. It may be in Sirach, Yeah. This is the book of Sirach, chapter Ecclesiasticus, also known as Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 23. It says, a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. And right, man, just like it says, man, these women are evil. They're not right, And King Solomon even said this, among 1,000 women, let me come back, because it said it, But these women are not right, man. So why pander to them? The Israelite women, especially the so-called black women, they hate us. Not all of them, but the good majority of them hate us, man. Which is why, again, a lot of them are going to be judged severely just because they have an evil eye toward us, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28:56. They have an evil eye toward us. They hate us. They only care about themselves. They don't even care about their own children. So back in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, I'm going to get verse 27. It says, "Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher," also King Solomon. It says, counting one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not one. Slakia, which my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all these have I found not. So right, among 1,000 men, King Solomon found one righteous, but among 1,000 women, he found none righteous. So right, if is the scriptures just gives it to you raw and uncut. Like, it tells you the nature of these women, that they aren't right. Are all women evil? No, but again, we know their nature, man. The scriptures tells us how they are, but why go out of your way to please these women when they don't respect us? They hate us, and the only thing they want to do is use us, for what we got, and then leave us for someone else. And this is why having this truth is one of the greatest things ever right now, man. Or I'm not going to say one of, but the greatest thing right now, because again, having a sound mind is just, it's a blessing, because again, that could be any one of us, it don't matter. Yeah, you can have, all the money, but what good is it if you're just going to sit and spend it on a woman that's just going to leave you for another man, most likely with less money, So I ended with this. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 36 and verse 24, and it says, "He that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest." All right. This is the role of a woman. She's supposed to be a pillar of rest and help meet unto her husband. That's the role of a woman. Obviously, a man is, supposed to take care of his wife, and do his, his duty, to give her, shelter, a place to live, food to eat, and to do their duty, to bring forth children as well. But a man's job is not to pander unto women. The woman was made for the man, not the man for the woman. I'm still quoting scriptures, man. I'll end it with that one, actually, because again, people have forgotten their roles, and this is why we need the Lord, so he can come back and restore order in the earth, because everyone is out of order right now. So it's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 9, and it says, I'll start at verse 8. It says, "For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man." And right, man, woman was made for man to what? To be an helpmeet unto her husband. Just like it says in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, her desire is supposed to be toward her husband, again, a man can love his wife. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with spending money on your wife, giving her money, this, that, and the third, just depending on your relationship, but at the same time, don't pander to these women. Or if they, I need a man that's going to pay all my bills. Well, again, what do you bring to the table? If you don't bring anything to the table, then what good is that? You mean to tell me I have to pay all your bills just to date you? On top of paying all my own bills, I have to you know, get you out of debt, you know, make you financially free. Stop it, man. And that's why a lot of you simps out there are going to die, because you pander unto these wicked women. And this is why they have the mentality they have, that, you know, a man has to have a certain, you know, has to be in a certain tax bracket. He has to make a certain amount of money. He has to drive this type of car. He has to have this type of house, you know, because you niggas put these things in their face as if every man is supposed to do this. No, man, that ain't how it work. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say, Shalom.